welcome to Squash Academy Switzerland's YouTube channel. On this channel we're going to show you some ideas of how to teach squash skills using gameplay. Now, gameplay is different to exercising. If we look at it like this, that on this side we have exercises and at the other end of the continuum we have gameplay. It is a continuum, and if I'm in the middle, let's say this is 0, and if I go 1, 2, 3, 4 to 10 out on this side, if I'm right out on this side, then I'm in the most extreme exercise form I can think of. And if I go 1, 2, 10 steps down this side towards gameplay, then I'm very much completely in a game-playing aspect. And it's just a question of where do you stand on the scale, where are you sliding to? Are you playing a game, but that's really more like an exercise, so it's an exercise turned into a game and not really much of a game, but has more of an exercise nature? That's fine. Or you could be right out on the far end where it's completely a game. On this side you could be doing an exercise that's got a game characteristic to it, game-playing characteristics to it. Or you could be right out on the far side where it's just practicing a shot, correcting and then repeating. So on the exercising side, this is what we call traditional coaching. This is what it was like 30, 40 years ago. Just about everything was done this way. The coach would tell you what to do, show you how to do it, and then correct you. And then you repeat and repeat and repeat. So there's a lot of racket work, a lot of physical work, conditioning, running around. But in game playing, if you set up a situation where you want a player to learn some aspect of the game, maybe how to play the bowstring on the back corner, but you don't show them how to do that. You just sort of leave it open, let them play a game where the both is going to happen. They're going to have to try and learn it. And they're learning for themselves. They're discovering, they're experimenting, they're finding out for themselves. This is a very powerful and fun way of learning, because whatever you learn there, it's going to be first-hand and it has a lot of value to it. You know, you buy a second-hand car, it's not quite the same as having a new car. So when the coach comes and says, look, stand this way and hold the racket like that and swing like that, well, that's second-hand knowledge. It's good knowledge, it's good coaching, nothing wrong with it. But if a player is learning to find answers to the solutions himself, and he gets used to doing this, this is a very powerful method where a player will never forget something that he's learned for himself. And he kind of owns it more. So, and it's also more motivating playing games. It's much more interesting. Kids want to play games all the time. They're not interested in sitting down and learning something and exercising it. So using gameplay can be very motivating. It's teaching players to be independent, thinking for themselves. And it's a creative way of learning. It's an open-ended, creative way of learning. It's not laissez-faire. It's not just let them get on with it, because the coach creates games where the players should learn what it is the coach wants them to learn, and the coach has many ways of adapting the game, closing down the walls to get a little bit more flow of the ideas, and that's the skill of the coaching in this situation. He's not giving too many solutions, he's asking more questions and expecting the players to come up with solutions and motivating them to work in this way. On the exercise part, that's the traditional part. That's where the coach stands there and tells the player what to do, shows him, corrects him. And this is also the part of the game where you hone your hitting skills and hone moving skills and perfect and correct skills if you're moving up the ladder and moving to a higher level of play. You can also use game playing for the better players and the top players. You can use it across the board. It's a spectrum. You can use exercise form for beginners as well. It's a whole spectrum that you can use as a coach. But if you're a coach using the game playing spectrum, well, now you've got to behave in a different way. You don't give the solutions yourself. You're asking questions. And you're setting up situations and getting the players to move into the center of the situation and let them play and learn. And as a coach, you remove yourself from center stage, and you're watching them playing and learning, and kind of like you're learning how they're learning. It reverses the roles a little bit. But by observing, you've got a better chance to give the advice to help the players move on, or find questions to get the players to examine what they're doing so that they can develop. If I'm in the exercise form, I'm instructing and I'm in the center stage, and the player is listening to me, the expert, and I'm trying to correct, and the player is listening and using my example as the template to work towards. So that takes a lot of motivation from a player, and a player then has to be quite disciplined and has to go through a bit of boredom and has to work hard. And if that's a beginner, that's going to put them off. So using game form, playing games for learning for the beginner and the developing player is much more interesting, much more motivating, and it requires the coach to be very creative. In the instructional form, in the exercise form, well, there the coach takes a traditional role where he stands in the middle and tells everybody what to do, and everybody listens to what the coach says. Easy for the coach, and is required from the coach when you get to a certain level. When players are moving into the higher echelons of playing, then they're going to need a lot of honing of skills, a lot of perfecting movements, a lot of correction, and then a lot of hard work. In game play, in games for learning, you're addressing much more of the personality than in just the exercise form. In the exercise form, we're often just dealing with the racket work and the physicality, the moving, the running, it's quantity. But in the game playing, well, players have got to think, they've got to make decisions, they've got to understand. So these games are for understanding as well. Even if the player doesn't have the skills yet to produce the shot he wants to produce, he's got some idea and he's thinking for himself, and he's experimenting, and he's trying out what works and what doesn't work. And the other aspect in game playing is you've got a winner and a loser. You need a winner or a loser. And in my 35, 40 years, almost 40 years of coaching now, I have found that the player who's losing is open for coaching. If you knock on the door, he's going to open the door, you can go in and you can coach. The player who's winning, what does he want from you? He doesn't need anything from you. He expects a pat on the back maybe, but you can't really tell him anything because he's already winning. So winning and losing sets up the situation where you can go in and help the player who's losing, who's open for the coaching. That's a very helpful thing to ride the horse in the direction it's already going. So these games have got structure, and it's the art of coaching to develop a structure so that a player can learn a skill. Let's say it's playing out of the back corner. Well, I need a game where at least one player is in the back corner and having to play out of the back corner and finding a way to boast or flick to the front or whatever it is he's having to learn. So then it's up to me to develop a game, make the rules, show where the hitting areas are, what's in, what's out, and how points can be scored. It's important that each rally delivers a point for one player or the other so that we have a winner or loser, and at the end, well, then I'm going to be knocking on the door of the loser and seeing if he wants to learn a few things, if he's open to a few questions about what's going on and maybe what he has to do with the racket in the back corner there to get the ball out of the back corner, whatever it is. So that's the art of the coaching, is setting up these games that have a purpose, that players can play with fun, but it's promoting learning. We try to give each game we create a name. Maybe it's goalies, maybe it's volleys, maybe it's boast against long line, maybe it's back court, front court, whatever the name is of the game. Because once the players have played the game and it's got a name attached to it, then you just next time have to say, well, go and play boaster over there, or go and play defender over there. Oh, how is that played again? Well, look at your game card, look at the rules. Ah, okay, I can hit the ball there, I can't hit the ball there. Oh, we're playing in this space. Ah, okay. So giving the game a name helps it to be remembered, and it transports the coaching idea, the playing idea, much faster, much more easily. And with a lot of practice, then you're just using the names of the games to set your coaching up. So it makes your coaching a little bit easier. It's well structured, and of course playing games is a lot of fun. And when it comes to the psychological aspects, it's my day job teaching mind management to performers. When it comes to these psychological aspects, really they can only be learned live in a situation, a gameplay situation, where a player's under pressure and can't work out what to do. Well, great, let's put him back in that situation and keep him there and see if he can come up with some answers. When a player is just exercising and hitting, there's not much emotion involved. Maybe there's some frustration when he misses a shot, but if it's game playing, there are a lot more aspects involved. And this mental aspect of having the will to win and push through and stay focused and keeping the cool, if this is a part of all of the games that players are playing, then they develop naturally and easily mental skills which stay with them when they go into competition and match play, because they're just used to being dealing with these situations. They're confronted with these mental aspects all the time in training. In exercise form, it's very difficult to bring in these mental aspects. So playing games certainly is going to help you teaching players to become mentally strong, resilient, finding solutions, remaining confident under pressure. So I hope that's helpful. I hope you have a lot of fun trying out some of these gameplay ideas. And they're just ideas, they're examples, they're well tested. We've been using these games for learning for about almost 30 years now. So they're well tested, we know what results they'll produce. And they're interesting suggestions for you to try out. If you want to see some more, learn some more, we have another website called squashtraining.ch, which is CH for Switzerland. And this is the Swiss Squash site where coaches can log in and put their idea up on the screen, take a short video just to illustrate it, make a few notes how the game is played, and voila, you have a lot of examples of different training games to be tried out. So have some fun, enjoy the channel. If you've got some inputs, then just send us a message, send us a video, make a comment. We're open for all ideas, and our goal is to share these ideas that we have with you, and we're happy to take on board anything you have to offer. So have a lot of fun at Squash Academy Switzerland on the YouTube channel, and see you around.